President Trump came after you hard the other day. This is just a few days ago. He posted on Truth Social. He said the following, which we can put up on the screen. Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats and attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America. He listed several senators, including you, Senator Josh Hawley. He said should never be elected again. You've changed your vote on the War Powers Resolution now, not voting with those senators. Tell me why you voted the original way and why you changed.
We love a flip-flopper, and that was Republican Senator Josh Hawley. So he had supported a War Powers Resolution until President Donald Trump smacked him around a little bit. And yesterday, Vice President JD Vance cast the tie-breaking vote to shut down the resolution altogether. So if passed, the War Powers Resolution would have prevented the US military from executing any further operations within or against Venezuela without the approval of Congress, which they're not supposed to be able to do anyway. Hawley was one of 5 Republican senators who broke ranks with Trump and supported the resolution. Here is why Hawley changed his mind, though.
Well, for me, this has always been about ground troops, ground troops into Venezuela, occupying Venezuela. That's not something that I think I would want to do. And listen, I talked to the president, I talked to the Secretary of State, I talked to the Department of Justice. I thank the administration for all of their outreach. And what the Secretary of State said to me very clearly is, we're not doing that. We don't have ground troops in Venezuela. This is not another Iraq. We're not going to occupy Venezuela. And you know what? That's good enough for me.
Yeah, well, as you're laughing, I mean, we're not going to occupy Venezuela, but you just saw bombs going off in Caracas, and we have our president proclaiming himself to be the acting president of Venezuela. So, we're not occupying it, though. So Todd Young is another senator who supported the resolution at first, but just like Josh Hawley, he also flipped. And thanks to the two of them, the resolution was defeated. So Young wrote this on X. He said, after numerous conversations with senior national security officials, I have received assurances that there are no American troops in Venezuela. I've also received a commitment that if President Trump were to determine American forces are needed in major military operations in Venezuela, the administration will come to Congress in advance to ask for an authorization of force. Yes, I'm sure this administration will go to Congress and ask for permission before it does whatever it wants to do. So meanwhile, Republican Senator Rand Paul is continuing to fight back against the administration, and here's why.
I promise to defend the Constitution. The debate over war powers is bigger than Donald Trump. It's bigger than me, and it's been going on for my entire lifetime. So I've informed the president it's not personal. Look, I voted for 91% of his legislation. I voted for nearly 100% of his nominees. I've been one of his biggest defenders when he was impeached twice. If he can't appreciate that, that's too bad. But at the same time, I haven't given up supporting the president. I support him on many things. I actually like him personally. I enjoy his time. I've known him for a decade. I've played golf with him dozens of times.
All right, Waz, I know that the story is bigger than this. I mean, sort of, right? What bothered me about that last clip that we just watched with Rand Paul is why does he need to assure the president of the United States that voting on behalf of your constituents, voting for what you believe is right for the American people, why do you have to then go to the president and say, you know what, it's nothing personal though, we're still friends, I still like you, I still wish we could go golfing. Why are all of these senators that we have running our country so spineless to the point that they're more concerned about Donald Trump's friendship and being in his good graces than actually voting their conscience and voting the way that they feel that they should be voting? That's one thing, but then of course the bigger story, the actual story is, Trump is saying no boots on the ground in Venezuela, but we know that he kind of just does whatever he wants to do. We go through this whole rigmarole with Congress and saying, oh, he's not allowed to do that, but he's already done it. You know what I mean? So a lot of the things that this Congress ends up doing is just retroactive, and it's all just bureaucratic because it's not gonna change the things that have already happened. What are your thoughts, Waz?
I think there's a lot of elements at play here. The first one, I don't think Congress as a whole, as a body, wants this power, actually. I don't think they want to have to be able to decide when or where we should go to war. And I think the very recent past of Iraq, although it was, 20 plus years ago, so many people got burned for being in support of that war. And I think they learned the wrong lessons of what that was, instead of being like, yo, next time we should step up to the plate and be like, hell no, we're not going to war. We're not starting forever wars. We're not doing regime change. We're not doing, democracy building and nation building in foreign entanglements anymore. The lesson they learned is, let's stay out of it. That's the lesson they learned from, people like Hillary Clinton and others getting electorally burned for being behind stuff like Iraq. I think that's one of the sad lessons that Congress took from it, is that they should stay out of matters of war in the first place. Second, the executive branch, and my friend Daniel Bessner talks about this all the time. The power is the problem is the office itself, in that it just keeps accruing more and more powers for itself with each successive administration. And I think, when people like FDR or, Saint Ronnie Reagan are doing this kind of thing with super majorities, there's kind of an understanding that these guys are behaving like baby dictators. But, whatever, they've got 60-something% of the country behind them. The will of the people is behind them. When a guy like Donald Trump wins with 50.01% of the vote, and he's basically, governing via fiat and as if he's a king, that's a problem. And what you're seeing from people like Senator Josh Hawley, who, I know a lot of people like to put up as this paragon of Republican, basically reasonableness. He's still a coward. He still feels scared to challenge Trump in any meaningful way on the public stage. And the last thing I'll say is, I don't think you'll ever see these guys step up to the plate and fight Trump on something, unless it's something like, beating back healthcare subsidies. They'll be brave for that. They'll risk electoral annihilation for that. They'll be brave when Donald Trump floats, we want to cap credit card interest. Trust me, they'll be brave in going against him for that. But in terms of something that makes some actual sense, and that would be to the benefit of the actual American people and not our owners in the ruling class, they'll just never do it and step up to the plate.
Yeah, and even with Rand Paul, we saw him stick to his guns, but he was still kowtowing to Donald Trump and begging for his forgiveness and reassuring him that we can still be cool.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.